Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Aberdeenshire. We're here for the launch of the next LEAF demonstration farm, where Harriet, Ross and Ben Lowe are about to launch. We're live at the farm. We're going to have a few questions, a few talks from the people that have been involved in the Resilient and Ready programme with Corteva and LEAF, and then we'll have a short farm tour. So follow us and enjoy the show.
Everything that we do with LEAF, we're talking about integrated farm management on our demonstration farms. We have the wheel here. We will hear a lot about the wheel as we go round. And our demonstration farms are out there showcasing integrated farm management and sharing about it, encouraging that peer-to-peer learning, which is so important with other farmers, but also with researchers, government policy and other organisations. And HB Farm joins, it's the fourth LEAF demonstration farm we have in Scotland, joining Woodhead Farms, Bow Hill Farming Limited, and we have Sean here today in Finley, and also Morriston. They can make the claim to fame as being our most northerly demonstration farm now. We have a first here today. We're being live streamed. So I'd like to say a huge welcome to all the people out there on Zoom who are watching this and who are watching this back on recording. And isn't it fantastic that we can do this now, that we can actually reach out to a wider audience. And Ben and Harriet have come to this point through the Resilient and Ready programme, which Giles will talk about in more detail. But it's a 3-year programme and it's designed to equip farmers with the skills, know-how and confidence to be industry leaders in sustainable farming. 4 farming businesses went through it, and what's fantastic is all farm businesses have made it here. So we've gone from Nick from the Atherton estate in Berkshire, Andy Basin, who's from the Newhouse Farm in Hampshire, and we've got Craig and Claire from CJ Brands, who are locally based as well. So it's really great to have all 4 farmers together. LEAF's journey began in 1991, so we recently celebrated our 30th year anniversary. And who would have thought from such a tiny organisation with bold ideas where we would be today? And much of that is down to the drive, the passion, the enthusiasm and determination of Caroline Drummond. And I know that she will be much in our thoughts today. And she left behind a legacy. She left behind a very strong legacy. And she also left behind an incredibly strong team. And I feel very privileged to work with a team of individuals with such talent, skills and knowledge. And between us, we will carry on building the legacy that Caroline created. This is partly through last year we launched our 10-year strategy, a new 10-year strategy with 3 cross-cutting themes of health, enrichment and diversity. And they're supported by 3 pillars: knowledge generation and exchange, and that's where the network comes in, and also the partnership work that LEAF does with the likes of Giles and Corteva. And our training, our integrated farm management training comes into that as well. And then there's market opportunities. LEAFmark. LEAFmark was launched in 2002, went global in 2007. And we're now supporting, we've got growers who are LEAFmark certified in 19 countries throughout the world. And we published our 10th Global Impacts Report recently, and 48% of the fruit and vegetables sold in the UK is LEAFmark certified. And we're growing. We've worked with suppliers such as M&S, Waitrose, Vitapress and Jordan's over the years, which has been absolutely fantastic. But we're now working and starting to work with Lidl, as all Lidl UK grown fresh produce, sold fresh produce becomes LEAFmark certified, and also Tesco's, as their UK produce sold here, their fresh produce is LEAFmark certified. So we're going to expand across that global reach, which is a really exciting time. And as well as working with PepsiCo, with the oat growers in Scotland. So it's a great time to see LEAFmark really expand. 5 years ago, LEAF merged with FACE and LEAF Education was born. And we have another number of elements under that. We've got Farmer Time, where we connect up to now 900, we've connected 900 farmers in schools where we have regular FaceTime conversations. So a school can actually see a farm throughout the year. Again, the joys of technology. We also have a network of regional educational consultants who are out working with teachers, working with farmers through that connection, providing the CVAS training, provide farmers with the skills to be able to host farm visits. And of course, LEAF Open Farm Sunday. Started in 2006, we've now had, since then, 2.5 million visitors. This year, 12th of June, we had over 250 farms opening. I had the privilege of going to a farm with Lord Benyon down in Berkshire, and it was fantastic seeing what the host farmer Alison had done and all the information she was sharing. By the time I arrived, which was about 20 minutes before it was open, there was already a queue. And you could see people were so interested in where their food comes from and the role that farmers play in producing that and looking after the environment. And she had some fantastic facts, and my top fact of the day was that turkeys can run at 25 miles an hour, which I took away, and I was like, who would have thought it, a bird that big could run that quick? So yeah, really, really, really good day. And we haven't got the stats from this year, but last year, 43% of visitors had not been on a farm before. This is the first visit to a farm. And I think for people who've grown up on the farm or work in the farming industry, it's sometimes quite hard to actually comprehend that, that a lot of people have not and are not connected with farming. And through the third pillar, which is engaging education and engaging people with the food they eat and where it comes from, what we're really trying to do is get that connection so that people understand what where their food comes from, what farmers do, but also it's about seeing agriculture as a career proposition. So not only do I work with farming, with primary schools, we work with secondary schools as well. So the people who might never have considered the breadth of careers that there are in agriculture, that agriculture might be for them. And we need that new talent coming into the industry. So enough about LEAF. This day is about Ben and Harriet. So before I hand to Giles, I just want to say thank you to Corteva for the programme, for working with us. Thank you to the three sponsors, Harborough, Frontier and Agravista. And thank you very much to Ben and Harriet for hosting us. It's great to have you on board and very much looking forward to working with you over the next few years. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Vicky. Welcome everyone. Yeah, really good to see you all here today, and it's amazing to have this almost exhibition centre that we're almost stood in the size of this shed. So thank you, Ben and Harriet. And I guess really, as Vicky sort of said, some of you may think, well, what's the Resilient and Ready programme all about? And today is a culmination for one business that's been involved over the last 3 years. And 3 years ago, there was a huge amount of sort of common ground felt between LEAF and Corteva. It was clear to see that we both had sort of similar values in so many different ways, but also farmers were really reaching a point where the policy changes that were happening and that were coming down the track towards them was going to have a huge impact. So it seemed a real sort of time to sort of look at how we could help and join LEAF and help businesses sort of progress to a more sustainable business, but also this almost requirement to produce more from less. So it seemed a natural kind of proposition to sort of put together as a program. I guess being a crop protection and seed company, we have sort of a different skill set to LEAF, but I think the two of us sort of match quite well together. And certainly with LEAF's 30-year history, as you mentioned, Vicky, really sort of helped us bring the program together. And it is a partnership. We have a shared goal to help our resilient ready farmers, of which the two guys from England are here today with Nick and Andy, and we've got Claire and Craig Grant. But also today it's about Harriet and Ben, and it's about bringing these growers to the fore, supporting them, enabling them, but also then providing them a platform to be sort of industry leaders, and then pass on that knowledge and that sort of experience to others that will come along behind them. And it has been an action-packed 3 years. I know we've had a global pandemic, which has been a challenge for us all, but actually we've worked a hell of a lot. And I guess today's live stream is one of those scenarios where we have the technology to do so much, and maybe sometimes we just need to take that leap of faith and start using it. And we've managed to do that throughout the 3 years, even virtually. Certainly the initial plan that we had was to work with two businesses, and at the first discovery events and the first sort of introductions and applications we had, it was clear to see that actually we had 4 great businesses that were very ideally matched in location up here in northern Scotland, in Aberdeenshire, but also down in England. And Andy and Nick, the 2 farms there aren't too far away. So there was a nice fit there. And it's all about working with contemporaries and people that are maybe there to support you in your locality, and that's very much part of the program. I've been involved since last year with the project and leading it from a Corteva point of view, and it has been fantastic to see how through engagement, either face to face or virtually, everyone has progressed within the program, and the knowledge sharing and the interactions, of which today is one of many, has been really inspirational. And so, I must say, with Harriet and Ben and the team here at HB Farms, we've seen right the way through, really, in terms of how you've grown with the program, the commitment that you've given it has been really fantastic, and that's what you sometimes have to do. You have to have that leap of faith just to really commit to it, and I think that attention to it has really sort of shown through, and probably, hence, dare I say, shown how rapidly the business has grown over the last 3 years, which is really fantastic. You have been resilient. So that was one of the key titles that you've used, which is fantastic. And also you've been ready to make changes and to grab opportunities, which is also fantastic, and really good to see. And I'd personally like to applaud you both for that in terms of where you are today and here. I guess some of you may think, well, why did Corteva start this program alongside LEAF? And it is a fair question. We are here as a business to support UK ag through the good times and the bad. And it is, as we know, in agriculture, a bit of a roller coaster. And some of you may even be thinking, well, who are Corteva? And our heritage businesses are the Dow Agrisciences, the DuPont, and the Pioneer seed business. And that's where we formed to kind of deliver sort of best in class from a seeds and a crop protection portfolio to farmers. And we do put farming at the heart of everything we do. Without farmers, we wouldn't be here. So we have to provide solutions to their problems, their issues that they face, and those problems can sort of multiply, or they can change over time, and so we have to adapt with it. We're a pure global ag player, so we're just focusing on ag. That's all we do as a business now. And as you can imagine, we have 14 global sustainability goals, and some of them are quite highbrow, and what we have to do in the countries is actually understand how we can fit them to a country scenario. And I think the Resilient Ready program has really been a fantastic opportunity for us to sort of implement some of those sustainability goals, and some of them really are training for farmers. We've seen that throughout this program. A lot of it has been training with people like Andy Guy, who's here today, and others within the program, and that's great. Improving soil health. We've done much of that, and I remember last time I was up here in Aberdeenshire, Ben was in a hole in the field that he dug, and we were looking at soil conditioning and everything around soil health, which at the end of the day is the most important thing we have on many farms. In order to be successful. We also look at advancing water stewardship. Water is key to us all, and certainly us as a business, we take that incredibly important, and so we really sort of looking into water stewardship and how we can protect our waters, which is key. And then also coming back round, I guess, is about enhancing the biodiversity on farms, and we see that more and more, and certainly Vicky, you mentioned the wheel here, and it's all part of that integrated farm management. And it's keeping the biodiversity to a level that's sustainable for businesses. So as I think we mentioned, Ben and Harriet and everyone here at HB Farms, you're the third business to come through the Resilient Ready program. It's a great achievement. It's thanks to LEAF as well, to Vicky and Alice and Megan and the rest of the team, being great, pulling it all together. And today is a really good sort of celebration of that. And personally, I'd like to speak on behalf of Corteva, but I certainly appreciate that LEAF would feel the same in terms of how proud we are that you both have reached this milestone today, and I congratulate you for that. So thank you. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Vicky and Giles. Yeah, welcome everybody to Pitmillan, very sunny Aberdeenshire. So yeah, we're just going to do a bit of background about us and the business and how we started and where we are now. I'm a local Quine, so Alice knows what that means now. So yeah, I grew up on a family farm, just sort of a mile that direction. Wasn't really pushed down the farming route. In fact, I was probably actively told not to farm. So I went away and got a degree in geography. Came back home, sort of didn't know what I wanted to do, so started a livery business at home. So that was sort of me justifying coming back to the farm. And then I got offered a job with SAC as a agricultural consultant. So I went there, did 3 years with them, and then 3 years with Strutton Parker, and sort of fell in love with farming from day one, really, SAC, and did a variety of different jobs. And yeah, now full-time farmer. So achieved mum and dad's dream.
And I'm Ben, so I'm from East Lothian originally, just outside Edinburgh. Not from a farming background at all. So dad was a civil engineer, mum was business systems, so setting up computer systems. I seemed to get, my granddad was a farm manager, but he obviously retired before I was even young enough to get in a tractor, but I kind of must have got the love from him, so I've always wanted to be a farmer. So went through school, got to kind of 15, managed to get working summers on farms, sweeping sheds, washing tractors. Left school, still didn't kind of know what route to take, so I went and worked on farms, and I did what every 18-year-old does and just drive the biggest machine I could. It was really good. Kind of got to a couple of years down the line and thought if I wanted to go any further, I kind of need to study. So I went and studied at Edinburgh SAC for 4 years. I originally went for 2 years, but it was quite a good lifestyle, so I did the 4. While studying, there was a bit of time, so I got a third share in a farm shop, which was fantastic. There was 7 employees, and I was working with some good business people and learning how to work a business, 'cause it does take a bit of learning. So I managed to do that, as well as kind of start with 40 ewes and built up to 150 ewes over time, and marketed that as lamb boxes. So I was always looking for an opportunity to be a farmer rather than work on farms, and never really saw that coming, but kept trying. As I finished studying, I got the opportunity to work for AgriVista as an agronomist. So it's very much, here's a car, a laptop, go and travel around the country for a year and learn. So I really got paid to learn. It was fantastic. I still work as an agronomist now, part-time rather than full-time. And we kind of started a farming journey. I met Harriet when I was up here and then moved south. And then we got the opportunity to take on a lease farm.
Yeah, in 2019, we put in a tender for an SLDT, 3-year SLDT, just sort of 5 miles from here. So yeah, we put in the tender, got shortlisted for an interview, so we got through the interview, and then we were very lucky in being awarded that tenancy.
We didn't really expect to get the opportunity. No. We came from a very different route. There's quite a lot of neighbours went, and it was all about rents and how big a kit they had and things like that. And we really said, give us a chance. And we're very lucky. It's the Aberdeen Endowment Trust. And they really took that on board and gave us that chance.
Yeah.
So we're very lucky with the landowners that they were willing to work with us and take a risk, because we would have been a risk compared to an established business.
Yeah, we begged, borrowed and stealed bits of kit from mum and dad. It was an old dairy farm, so quite a lot of sheds. So that's sort of where the pigs started. We had bed and breakfast contracts with Caro, for nursery pigs. So we had them sort of on 8-week blocks, all in, all out, which worked really well. We were both still working full time, so yeah, it sort of brought in an income, kept muck on straw on the farm, and worked for everybody really. And that was sort of the start of our HB Farms business.
It would have been the start of our LEAF Resilient and Ready business as well.
Yeah.
So we kind of felt we should start, we'll come back to it, but we should start at the beginning and shape our business to be resilient and ready from the off.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where we've got to now. So we...
In 2000 and sort of at the start of 2021, we sort of took over Mum and Dad's farm. So retired dad, but he maybe won't tell you that he's retired. So yeah, we were very lucky that we were able to take over that, and then we were sort of looking at buying a new combine, and to justify that, we sort of asked neighbours if they would like us to contract combine. So we were cutting a field for Christo to help him out, who owned Pitmillan previously. And he said he would be interested in doing a contract agreement if we came in and contract combine. So we bought the combine, and that's really where like the relationship grew with Christo about this place. We could see that he didn't have any family coming on, and he was wanting to wind down.
It was very much a 5-year plan that would build a working relationship with him, and show that we could do things and look for opportunities. And that 5-year plan turned into about a year. So we really did have to chase on with things.
Yeah, he turned around and just said, "Oh, well, do you want to buy it then?" And we were, panic. So that was an amazing opportunity that doesn't happen, every generation. It's every couple of generations. So we couldn't really say no, and we've tried our hardest to make it work. And just had a bit of a bad year to start, but never mind. So we basically grow all the cereals, winter oilseed rape, to feed the pigs now. We have a bit in agri-environment schemes, which I'll talk about a bit later. So here at Pitmillan, it's a breeding finishing unit. So we have 450 sows. We took over the employees, so it's just basically we took over Christo's business really, and have the machinery share and contracting bits.
So we'll go into more depth as we walk around the farm. We want to keep everyone moving.
Yeah. This is just to give you a bit of idea of location. So we're here at Pitmillan, which is sort of this bit here. This is Kincraig, which is home farm, where Mum and Dad stay. This is Overhill, that's sort of an arable block. And over there is Dumbreck, so that's the tenanted farm. You want to say a bit about that?
No, you do.
So a bit about Resilient and Ready, and why we chose to apply for the 3-year program. Really, Ben said before, we were at the start of our sort of farming journey, so we thought it was a great time to get people onto farm and help us shape our business. We were sort of quite easy to change because we weren't molded to one structure. So we had experts come in and do sort of look at our business plan, and Tamsin came in and looked at the biodiversity on the farm and how we can sort of help the environment and work with it. Sort of saw LEAF as a loud voice that was, Caroline was, you could just see her in all the news, and LEAF, people were starting to sit up and listen to LEAF, and they had a good voice, and we believed, their ethos. So we thought we would sort of be sort of ahead of the curve and see what it was all about. We've met some fantastic farms along the way, and networking, and learning off each other, I think, is a big part of
It's definitely all about people. It's about pulling good people onto the farm. That's what we've always driven to do and hopefully continue to do.
Yeah. We'll talk a bit more about the pigs, but just why we were mad enough to buy a pig farm.
So
yeah, you want to probably want to.
It's my constant saying is closing the loop, so getting everything to work for each other. So we were predominantly an arable business beforehand. So our cash flow was terrible because we'd have September, October, November was fantastic, and then you'd not get paid anything for the rest of the year, really. Whereas now we've kind of built a business where we're growing feed. It's almost two businesses. So there's the arable enterprise where we're growing the feed. We're almost selling the feed to the pig business, and hopefully making a profit between selling it at opportune cost to the pigs. I'm not saying we're doing that at the moment, but in time. And then feeding the pigs and producing pork and being able to sell that off the farm, but the manure and the slurry going back around to benefit the crops. So between the two, they work very well together. Mm-hmm. So it's always about complementing each other, and that's what we're trying to do, and that's why we jumped in 2 feet into pigs.
Yeah. Should we go for a walk?
Yeah, so our plan is that we'll go for a walk. We're going to stay on concrete and gravel. So we'll go for a walk just around the corner. There's a foot dip at the end of the shed, so I'll get everyone to dip their feet, and we'll have a kind of look from a distance into the pig unit and chat about what we're doing there. And we'll just keep moving around the farm and stopping for kind of 10 minutes at a time and keep everyone alive. So, okay.
Hopefully it doesn't rain. Extra pigs on farm, sort of at the top end when they eat the most. So it's been, yeah, a bit of a baptism of fire, just not getting pigs off the farm. So we have about 300 born a week. We're weekly farrowing, so we need about 300 to leave the farm each week just to keep that flow going and not build up. So yeah.
Someone must have told the sows that we were struggling because they've performed really well in the last 10 months. So everything's been pushing, and it's made it much more difficult. That they've been doing such a good job in the farm, and the guys have really been doing a great job, but we've not been able to follow it through and make the business work so far.
Yeah. So I mean, for the year, I just looked this morning, and we're sitting at, on average, it's 16.5 piglets per litter. So that's about just under 33 piglets per sow per year. So they're just, yeah, we can't keep up with them really at the sort of fattening end. And we fatten everything here on farm. So they move from the slatted flat decks into like a big straw court, which we'll see the other side, and then finish on slats again, and then hopefully go away in the lorry. But yeah, so we have we sell through a co-op called the Scottish Pig Producers. So that's sort of all the marketing and everything's done with us, done through them. So yeah, we're sort of a big pool of pigs that can hopefully have a bit of power in the marketplace.
We've been very lucky that they support us as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, all the farmers within it want everyone to do well. So there's this pig discussion group, and there's people that'll bring you onto their farm and have a chat about what they're doing. And we're very, very thankful that we do get that support from all the kind of neighboring pig farms. It's been a massive help.
Yeah. And we're continually monitoring. I get our pig manager, Alistair, gives me sort of a weekly record sheet of what's happened during the week. And so we're continually, looking at how things are working, changing rations, even more so this year, just with us not having the wheat and barley. Ideally, we would like to be self-sufficient, and we pretty much are with what we grow, but we've had to buy in quite a bit this year just with the backlog, and we ate about 1,000 tons more than what we should have this year, just with the backlog of pigs. So yeah, that was a sore check to write, that one. Still is.
So one of the things that we've been working on is there's obviously a bit of a public perception about the difference between an indoor pig unit versus outdoor and what the differences are. So we're very keen to follow that, and we carbon footprint the farm, which Harriet will go into in more detail later on, but it's about how we manage the pigs. So everything we do on the farm is about pig welfare and looking after what the pig that's on the farm at the time. And from a business, it works as well. A happy pig's going to grow much better and do well. So we're very happy with what we do here. And we did have a slide. I don't know if we showed it. We didn't show it, did we? So it was showing the carbon footprint of pork versus all the other meats. And we were quite happy. And one of the things that we looked at before we came into the pig farm was that the carbon footprint of pork is very, very close to the same as vegetable protein. So a lot of this saving the planet by eating vegetables, when you look at chicken, salmon, pork are all at a very similar level. And the pork side was very much, it was a broad spectrum. So it was outdoor pigs, it was indoor pigs, there was all sorts going on. So we're very keen to understand where we stand here. And if we can produce a product that the consumer wants, that's the key to our business succeeding and getting the message out there, because it's very difficult to market against. There's a picture of a pig out in a grass field, outdoor reared, and it looks great, but what we're doing here, welfare comes first, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Doing the job right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So, but you talk proudly about 16 piglins. Sounds like a big number to me.
Yeah.
And from days gone by, I've got a figure of maybe 13 being a there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you put that extra down to? Is there anything in particular?
I would say the genetics have taken a massive. Yeah.
So it's the litter size of the 16.5 pigs per litter. Why do we achieve that really, and what's it down to? I think it's mainly what, like Ben said, genetics have improved drastically, but also the management of them as well. And our farrowing team are look after the sows really well.
Yeah, it does. Again, I keep saying it, but it always comes back to the people involved, and we're so lucky with the guys that we've got. And I'd also say, like, there's a benchmarking group for pig farmers, and the first thing I've kind of realized with pig farmers is they're all really competitive and they want to beat each other. And we're very much stuck. We've inherited a very good business and bought into a very good business, and we want to try and keep moving that forward. We've got a lot to learn, but we've got a really good start with where we've come from and the guys behind that are helping us along that route. So, and I would say we're talking about litter size, and that's one thing, but if you look at most graphs to do with pork production, they're all going up the way. There's not many stable graphs. There's a lot of potential there. And that was something we found very exciting when we came into this business.
Yeah.
I guess coming back to the carbon thing, one of the ways of reducing your carbon footprint is by increasing your output.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Without increasing your.
Yeah.
So everybody's quite shocked that it's such a low carbon footprint, but it's because the output is so high. Yeah, it's very, they're so efficient at converting food. So when we give them a ton of food, that it's so, there's not a lot of wastage there. So that's what reduces our carbon footprint the most. Yeah, definitely.
Unfortunately, with the weather, we're going to get you to walk through some crops if it was dry, but we've not been able to do that. And I'm glad it's this week that you've come, because the barley's still all standing. It could be down. So some of the things on the wheel are like soil management and fertility. So it doesn't take a genius to work out. You come into a pig farm, you've got a lot of fertility and a lot of organic matter coming back around. And again, it comes back to the closing the loop, that the grain we're feeding, we've not got the nutrient leaving the farm, it's staying on the farm, and we're able to put it back into the field. So we don't buy any potash at all. And the only phosphate we buy is a little bit of very available phosphate for down the spout with spring barley. We grow about 190 hectares of spring barley, so it's a big crop for us, and we need it in a dry year. We need a bit of phosphate right next to the seed to get it going. So that's the only time we apply any phosphate. So it's only nitrogen and sulfur we have to buy onto the farm now, which makes a big saving. the whole ethos of us growing the crops is you set the yield the day it's sown. So everything has to be right before that, and the way you sow it is how you set the yield. Everything after that is a negative. So being from an agronomist, I should be selling you the dream that a can of chemical will fix it, but really you have to get the basics right before you get there. And that's why we've come into the whole business as a loop. Do you have anything to say? So yeah, we've been working, we use contractors for establishing crops at the moment. Spring and winter barley, our location, we find that the plough and power harrow drill is the best drill for the job. We consistently get yields from that. We need to be a business that can hit the same yields every year. However, oilseed rape and winter wheat, we've been working quite closely with the Missouri, so strip till, and we find that's the best way for us establishing as long as the weather's on our side. And that's something we want to continue to do. So we'll find ourselves ploughing and sowing in the first year for a winter barley crop, and then we have 2 years of strip tillage after that. I'm not saying we'll never look at moving away from a power harrow drill, but we have to know that we can every year get the same thing. And it's understanding that and how we improve it. And one of the biggest factors, I'm sure every farm's the same, but it's the weather. The weather dictates what you do. And really, to be able to use different drills, you need to have 2 or 3 of them available. And us as a business can't have 3 drills sitting at 60,000 in a shed, only being used for a third of the farm. So it's something that we've worked closely with, and we keep learning, and we see the soil structure improving with the strip till, and then we maybe destroy a bit of it with the plough, but we are seeing the benefits by filling the shed with barley.
We make a lot of our decisions as well through benchmarking. So we're in a benchmarking group with the crops as well. We use a program called Farm Bench, which is AHDB's, but yeah, a local Aberdeenshire group. And yeah, we measure everything cost per tonne rather than hectare, so we can accurately put it into the pigs and see how much money we're losing by feeding it to a pig rather than selling it. But yeah, we can sort of monitor our costs there and how we can make savings. And with the fertilizer, it's a big one for us. We've got the muck and slurry. So yeah, but it's also putting a cost onto that as well. So yeah, we do that.
If you do have any questions, do shout out. We should have said that at the start.
How does your strip till fall with leaf? How do they deem you to do that strip till?
Yeah,
every 2 or 3 years?
The thing with leaf is that a profitable business is a sustainable business. So it's not all about you have to be doing it because it looks right on paper. You have to do what's right for your business first and foremost, and then build on that. So it's yeah, not a business that tries to drive you down one route without asking any questions. What we have to do is question everything we do and justify why we're doing it. And that's key to what we're doing. As you say, like a strip till, we could cost ourselves £20 a hectare less in establishment costs, but cost us 2 tonne in yield. So that's why we benchmark by cost per tonne rather than cost per hectare, because it shows the performance throughout the whole field. So.
How do you grow spring barley?
Pardon?
Why do you grow spring barley?
Not many other crops that grow up here. So it's the management throughout the whole system. So we like growing winter crops because they're good, but September makes or breaks you. And we've had quite a few kind Septembers that have let us away with a lot. And the other thing with spring barley is it's quite a cheap crop to grow, and it's probably, in the last 5 years, it's probably done the biggest jump in new varieties and better yields and better standing ability. And we've also got 2 massive silos of slurry that need to be spread in the spring. So we need to have stubbles available that we can spread and do it practically. There's no point in throwing thousands of gallons of slurry too much in the autumn. We want to spread it. Timing and placement's key for that, and we'll probably touch on it around the corner a bit more.
It's a lot about rotation as well.
Yeah, we'd love to have some other crops. Definitely
We're
would.
thinking about lupins.
Yeah.
If I can convince Ben.
Have you thought, and why does that work in with your pig rations? You get more straw and a cheaper grain to grow?
So
Actually, your neighbour across the road's doing it.
yeah, so no, we did actually buy about 300 tons of rye this year, and it did really well. It worked well in the formulation. However, we've got liquid feed systems, so it gets mixed into a liquid feed and goes in a pipe around the sheds. So we added this rye, and we had 6 blockages in 24 hours, and a blockage takes hours to take apart. So it didn't fit into the liquid feed, but it does go in the dry feed. So yeah, again, it would probably be quite a good winter. It would be an option as a second wheat, I suppose. So all the wheats we grow at the moment is a first wheat, so it could be an option as a second wheat instead of a spring barley. Definitely.
And really early up here, I suppose. You need to be August drilled almost.
Because it's the seed cost that's the big one, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so not here, but at Dumbreck, actually, we've done it for the past, well, this will be our second year, but we've had 2 fields of grass side by side, and one of them we've ploughed and power harrow drilled with wheat, and the other one we just direct drilled into the grass with the Missouri drill. And yeah, yield was about half a ton. This last year we just had the full set, but it was about half a ton more on the strip till.
Yeah.
And I also did a carbon footprint of each of the fields. Can't remember off the top of my head, but the strip till one was slightly less, but it wasn't drastically less.
There wasn't the science to show how much the strip till that hadn't turned over grass, turned over soil, how much that had held carbon in the ground versus a plough.
Yeah.
So we didn't have the science in the backing to understand if it had reduced it by 5 kilos or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but the big thing was, like, as a rotation, we'd love to have 3-year grass lays in all our fields, because I think that's probably one of the big things we miss in arable farming, is having that grass lay and leaving the land for 3, 4, 5 years without being touched. But it's very difficult to find a gross margin that fits in an arable rotation with fencing and everything else that comes with it and the market. So the strip till into the grass was to try and keep that beautiful soil structure that we'd created. So it was really good.
And we've got a question from one of the streaming viewers, and the question is, what product are you using for readily available pea down the drill spout?
So it was DAP that we tend to use down the drill spout. So that's generally your most available phosphate. There's some phosphate products that you can spray to soil and make phosphate more available to the plant, but we need to keep trialing that.
So I mentioned earlier about the agri-environment schemes, so I thought I'd just chat a bit more about them. So Kincraig and Overhill have one that's sort of coming into its 4th year now. Mainly arable rotational options, so sort of green manures, overwinter stubbles, wild bird seed strips. We've got quite a lot of woodland shelter belts across there, so it's sort of trying to create an environment that gives us the best crop, but also, can leave poorer bits back to the environment. So when we started the Resilient and Ready programme, Tamsin, she just looked at Dumbreck because that was sort of our main hub. But yeah, she went through everything, sort of told us what was there, and how we could create better habitats for species that are already there, and how we can get more wildlife onto the farm as well. So for example, there was a burn at the bottom of Dumbreck that had water voles, and we thought that it would be a really good idea to plant trees along it, but actually they really like open ditches and burns, so we've decided to leave that and just create a bigger grass strip along the bottom. So that helps us with our cross compliance, but also helps the water voles have a better habitat and more connectivity between all the different habitats there. So
it's really important to do that, because we could have barged in with 2 feet thinking, oh, we're doing the best thing and planting trees, but we're actually would have done more damage than good.
Yeah, and
so is that understanding?
Yeah, and we've got bird species as well, like corn buntings that like quite open areas as well. So actually, that wasn't just the best best fit for us. But here's sort of a 10-metre grass strip that we use for our EFA, so greening, up in Scotland. And but there's also a ditch as well, so it helps us with cross compliance. And yeah, it's just trying to make these schemes work with you and not against you, and how you can fit them into the farm. And also, we don't really know in Scotland which way policy is going to go and what they're even thinking. It's a bit of a mystic Meg sort of situation. So we went in for another one thinking it's there, so we might as well give it a go. And if we can get some money, there's sort of some species-rich grassland options and things that we'd be interested in as well.
We can build it to benefit the arable rotation.
Yeah.
So we can take out the poor corners of fields and give them back to nature with wild bird seeds and species-rich grassland. But we can also create a lot more. Like a first wheat is generally our best gross margin crop. It's our best business crop. So we've got 20 hectares, so 50 acres of green manures that we can sort out. So we've got beautiful flowering fields at the moment. And then in the autumn, we can establish a first wheat into it. So it gives us, with us talking about not having many other break crops in this area, it's given us the ability to help nature, but also get a first wheat and complement the business. So very much built it around that.
Yeah, and I think future policy is sort of going to be around that, and your carbon as well. But so if we can sort of have layers of that onto the business, then hopefully that can only be a good thing.
What type of crops are you using the green manure, Ben?
It's generally legumes. So we usually have clover, vetch. We do have Facelia. We've done a little bit of oil radish, but that does affect our oilseed rape. So it's trying lots of different things.
We're quite limited up here, aren't we? That a lot of people put in sort of the green covers over winter to try and get that winter cover, but we're so late up here that by the time we get it in the ground, it's frozen. So it doesn't really grow too much. So we felt that we were better having the green manures through the growing season and then have overwinter stubbles sort of in the back end to keep the soil covered that way.
We have tried doing undersown grass in arable crops, so spring barleys and undersowing the grass as late as we can. So there's a bit of grass that's not affecting the combine. But then as soon as you take it off and you put some manure there, it takes off and you can put sheep on it, and there's winter cover the whole year, and there's just roots going on. So it's trying to work with our location.
And that works as well for our greening.
Yeah. So I think I always find it like it's a business, but we also live here, and you want to be proud of what you're going to do, and you want to kind of drive along the road and be happy with where you live. So yeah, we talk about ticking boxes and environmental schemes, but we do enjoy what we do as well and how we do it. So I think that's kind of key to success. If you're just doing it to tick a box, you're never going to do it right.
Yeah. So, are there any questions?
No. We'll go down to the next spot and then we'll be heading back up to the farm.
So this is sort of the buildings to my left. That was the straw courts I was mentioning round at the beginning. So that's sort of courts of 120 pigs, all on straw. So we've got about 27 bays. So once the pigs go in there, that's them sort of in their group. And then they stay in there and then finish on these slatted sheds here for the last couple of weeks before they go. So we use quite a lot of straw, about 100 bales a week in winter. Right now, probably about
70, 80.
Yeah, 60, yeah. Depending on the weather. If it's drier, we use less. So that's a big part of the system as well, is, you know, keeping that rotation going, getting the straw, getting the muck back into the crops to help us feed the pigs. So yeah, quite circular.
Yeah. So we produce about 50 tonne a week of farmyard manure, and we'll produce quite a bit more of slurry. And again, it's the old debate of you're better with straw or slats. And again, public perception will always go for straw because it looks much prettier. And we naturally, if we take a photo of pigs, it's generally on straw, because it's so much easier for someone to look at and understand what you're doing. But if you actually look to the pigs and how they do, the slats that standing on concrete works so much better for them from joints, from feed efficiency, and also from cleanliness. So a lot of the time, if we have a straw yard that a pig's been there for 6 weeks and it starts getting mucky, they'll come up from the straw yards with a muck all over them, and they'll go onto the concrete, onto the slats, they'll lie down. Within a day, they're clean as anything. So it's that understanding. And I was probably the same when we first came here. We thought, oh, it's beautiful to see the straw yards, but we'll probably use 70 hours of labour in the straw yards, that big one, and these 4 sheds up the top will use 20 hours a week. So there's a huge difference. And if you look at straw, and back to the arable, we bale a straw from here. We have to collect it. That's compaction. We'll touch that bale probably 5 times before it actually gets into a pig shed. And then when we get the farmyard manure back, again, it goes into piles dotted around the farm, and it's easily placed. But we have to spread it all before we establish the crops. Whereas our slurry, we can time it much better, so we can put a little bit on before the crop is established. We can get the crop through the ground, and we can put a little bit more on when it's required. So our timing and placement's far better with slurry. So it's something we'd quite like to move forward with, but we want to justify why we're doing it. So one of the things that we trialed, and it was along with Corteva, was a product called Instinct. So it's trying to hold on to the available nitrogen in the slurry and make it become available to the crop longer into the season and stop it leaching away. So that's one of the products we've tried. So we're mixing it as the slurry was coming out into a holding tank. We were mixing Instinct in, and then we're spreading it with the slurry tankers into fields. So we'll be yield mapping and doing head count on all those areas through the autumn, or through the summer, and harvesting in the autumn and seeing where they are. So again, it's improving, but if you improve your nitrogen efficiency by 5%, that would save us about 15 tonne of nitrogen being required to be brought onto the farm, which is a huge cost saving and beneficial to the environment as well.
Energy as well, which we haven't really touched on, is sort of a big part of our business and a big bill at the moment. So most of the energy is used sort of in the flat decks, keeping the temperature at the right level, whether that be by fans or heater or heating it up in the winter. So we are looking at sort of renewable options, but right now it's
survival.
It's survival mode. But yeah, definitely some solar panels on the roofs to use ourselves, or we have a big dream of having our own little mini AD plant that we can use the slurry, help cool the slurry as well, use everything there. But yeah, that's maybe.
It would benefit the whole business again, because an AD plant would produce heat, which is probably our biggest cost, but it would also make the product that we've got in our slurry stores so much more consistent that we know exactly what we're putting onto field, so it would manage that much better. Everything we spread off, we do take samples of it, but they're massive tanks, and it does vary throughout.
We use about 500,000 kilowatt hours a year, so it's a lot. So we want to be greener about that.
Definitely. So
the gested would be much better.
Oh yeah, and we wouldn't be carting. So with slurry, you're carting quite a lot of water around. So with digest it, it's a much better product. So hopefully we can. Yeah.
And it reduces the smell as well, which the neighbouring villages would probably like.
How do you spread your slurry? You mentioned tanker, but
yeah. So our outlying land gets spread with a tanker, and it's a down-facing splash plate at the moment, and that's just something we bought in as we came in because we didn't have much to invest in that. But so around here, this is all spread with umbilical, and Dumbreck spread with umbilical as well, so we can fill the big tanks, and then we get a local farmer who has, we give him sheds for bed and breakfast cattle, and he comes and spreads the slurry as payment. So he'll turn up with his pump and one of his guys, and they'll spread. This is about 190 acres. I spread that in 2 days.
Is that splash plate too?
No, that's dribble bars.
Dribble farm.
So that's the way to do it. And that's what we'd love to do. We'd love to have some satellite tanks and have tankers set up for the road so they're more fuel efficient on the road. And then the tractor in the field is set up for the field so there's less compaction and it's just done properly at the right time. So that's a big work on, definitely.
And there is grants actually this year, the capital grants, but yeah, you still need to find.
It's only 40% or something.
Yeah, so yeah, maybe one day.
You mentioned some stuff about visits and things like that. I know you guys have done quite a few visits this year and last year. Do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, we've had a few discussion groups round, and we sort of stood up and talk at discussion groups and farmer time. So we do farmer time with a school down in London, who we haven't really been too active about, but yeah, we're sort of putting feelers out to local schools as well to sort of start up that relationship. And really that's what it's all about, is, you know, educating and in getting the next generation involved, and just but even just learning off each other as well. You know, it's good to get sort of we had the Farm Managers Association round, and you know, just to get other like-minded farmers on farm and bounce ideas off them. It's definitely what it's all about.
Would love to put a lot of time into the career path into agriculture, because it's a very dated view of what a farmer does. And if we can get to careers days and almost show a picture of one of the pigs on the farm and then have the tree of people behind it, because there's probably 35, 40 people behind, all inputting into how that pig gets onto the farm. There's so many different parts of the business and parts, well, the whole industry.
Yeah, and I guess you're taking that, you know, different routes in.
Yeah.
So good example of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely something we want to do better with.
More of.
So.
With the burn at the bottom,
Oh yeah.
what do you do? Do you have to do anything down there to protect that?
Yeah, so we've recently put in a swale, so you can see the yellow flowering around the swale. So that's been put in. So all the clean water, so it's the water off the shed roofs and everything,
In the yard.
and the yard goes down into the swale, and it opens out and it slows the water going into the ditch. So we've recently planted that in reeds. We've got a neighbouring pig farmer, and our swale's much better than his. So the last time I spoke to him about it, he was going to put his swimming trunks on and come down and test it out. But we've not seen him yet, which is probably a good thing.
But we're regulated by SEPA,
Yeah.
and they come out for a farm inspection every year. So yeah, it's part of our compliance as well.
Definitely. So.
And do you check the quality of the water in there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we do. So SEPA sample
Before and after
before
the
and
farm.
after.
Yeah.
So we're quite proud. The last time they sampled, the water quality was better below the farm than above it. So I don't know what we're doing. But yeah, so we've got one more stop,
Yeah.
and then that'll be us around the farm. So we'll keep moving before the rain catches us.
Yeah.
But then there's so much going back into the land as well.
Okay. Yeah.
So one of the big things that LEAF has shown us is that we have to measure and justify everything. So the system that we've got in here, and you can have a look later on if you want, we've got a filter system for the borehole. On the farm alone, we'll use 40 to 50 cubic meters of water every day.
Tons.
Yeah, tons of water if you want to put it that way. So that all of that is measured, so we know what's going into the farm and why. Key for the business. It's much better having a system like this than buying it off the grid. But the whole farm is measured, so we've got a weighbridge here, so every trailer crane that comes onto the farm is measured, and everything that goes off the farm is measured as well. So every pig, when a lorry comes in, they'll weigh, and then they'll weigh as they go out, so we know exactly what's going off the farm. And it would be the same, every load of muck is counted, every slurry load, every bale that comes onto the farm. So from that, we can count up exactly what our efficiency is, and we're looking at it in smaller stages than that. But it always comes back to the whole business. So from our measurements, we know that every 3 kilos of grain we put into the farm, we'll have 1 kilo of pork leave the farm. So it just shows how efficient these animals are.
Yeah, that's really us. I think.
Yeah. But yeah,
Got any questions or anything?
Let's go. What did you score that against?
Well, for the arable, I use AgriCalc as the carbon calculator. So we're different for different crops, but as a farm, we're about sitting at about 0.3. So I really just benchmark it against myself each year, because I think benchmarking it against somebody else is quite tricky, and everybody's got such different systems that it's hard to do that. So I think if you can sort of monitor a lot better if you benchmark year on year, if you've changed something and it's done this, or it's done X, Y, or Z. So with the pigs, AgriCalc I don't think really works. So actually with the Scottish pig producers, I'm sort of working on a project right now that could sort of maybe look at us as a group, sort of a Scottish pig producer group, and get sort of our carbon level there, emission level there. So to come. But it's about using that, finding the data is one thing to actually put into these carbon calculators, but actually then what you do when you've got it. But we're all sort of being pushed down this net zero route. So I think people are going to have to do it one way or another sooner rather than later.
You're actually in an open area, and you have no real hedges included in that.
Yeah.
So do you go to more 10-metre boundaries, or do you look at that?
Yeah. And so we do have a few shelter belts, so our sequestration isn't really that high, but the soil sequestration that we sort of briefly touched on before the science isn't really there yet. So some tools do have it built in, but how good the science is behind it, the jury's still a bit out on that. So once, it's the same with sort of the beef and lamb production, that's sort of grass-fed systems, and they can't really quantify quite yet how much of that, grassland sequestration's happening. So, I mean, once we get that science, it'll be
It's a wee bit less for us in dairy.
Definitely, if you can pull some good stories about the carbon footprint, or there's lots of things we'd love to add on to the marketing of our animals. We always talk about having a 5-mile pig. If you can produce 99% of the feed going into that pig within 5 miles of the farm, that's a fantastic story to tell the consumer. We'd love to aim for something like that, but it has to find the premium as well to do so.
Do you use LEAF as a brand to sell your product if you're selling in it?
No, but we're not actually LEAF marked yet, so we're working towards that. But once we have that, we don't actually independently sell our pigs, so it's all done through the co-op. So sort of the co-op would then have to be LEAF marked for us to do that, or we would need to sort of do some on-farm sales or off-farm sales privately.
Is there any link yet? You touched on the PepsiCo thing with LEAF. Is there any link to that in the end marketing for the pig meat as well, that you get a benefit from being whatever your carbon footprint is? You should. I think anyway, you should get something added on to that sale price rather than selling carbon.
Definitely. Yeah. Hopefully that's to come. Hopefully that's the way we're going, that will actually happen. Yeah. Well, in Ireland, they actually they rate it. So they rate all the sort of, I think it's just in beef, well, just some beef, but they give it a score of red, green, and amber. So the consumer can actually see, what the carbon footprint is, and food miles really big one.
Be interesting to see what the consumer looks for, because at the moment I would say they look for convenience and price. So we'd hope that they would have a look more at where the food comes from. So,
But we are driven by what the consumer wants.
yeah,
And that's
because one of the things up there is welfare, and that's what we're dead keen to make sure that we're very proud of taking every single person around the farm, no matter what they think. So that's the key thing.
You should never this year.
No.
You should never this year. It's a learning process.
An expansion. Farm right next door to you for sale last Saturday. What about
This is our bank manager. After the last 10 months, we've had enough at the moment, I think. Yeah. Yeah. So, but no, thank you very much for coming round and having a look at everything we're doing. And any questions, anytime, honestly, get in touch.
Yeah.
So, we love what we do and we're proud of what we do. So please do get in touch.
And a big thank you to LEAF and Corteva for putting us on this program and allowing us to be part of it, because it's been really great. We've met some really great people and shaped our business a bit as well. So it's been great.
That add to the farmers involved with the program, because they bring it all together, and Craig and Claire probably get fed up with us calling them sometimes and asking advice, but it's been so invaluable. It's been really good.
I feel like I'm standing on a stage here. So, yeah. But ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's indeed a great pleasure to be asked along here, a privilege to be asked along here today to attend this key event. I'm Andrew Connon and I'm Vice President of NFU Scotland, and I farm just north of Ellen, so this is very local and very special to me today. It's also great to see such a good turnout and to see engagement on the LEAF initiative and the work that's being done. Scottish agriculture is in a state of turmoil. The here and now involves massive input inflation, market volatility, labour shortages, and a huge squeeze on cash flow. And although governments on both sides of the border say they are listening, there seems to be very little action yet in addressing the issues that the industry faces. So, in recent years, we've heard plenty of the climate emergency and the nature emergency. But here and now, we are in the midst of a global food supply and food security emergency. Brexit, COVID, and the Ukraine war have all played a part. It's time that governments listened. The repeated mention, in particular by Michael Gove and Boris Johnson, about the need for cheap food highlights contempt for British agriculture in my mind. Whilst unrestricted access to our borders has the potential to have massively impact on animal and plant health, biosecurity of British agriculture, while stifling the access to migrant labour is holding back UK agriculture production from farm to fork. Excuse me, the wind's taking me here. Another 19 pages to go. Yeah. I think it's essential that we see a vibrant agricultural industry, which in Scotland alone provides 67,000 direct jobs in agriculture and a further 360,000 jobs in the Scottish food and drink sector. If you multiply that up UK-wide, and you get an idea of the scale. However, agriculture is a resilient industry. We've already come through mighty challenges over the years and in the past. And as an industry, we will adapt and continue to move forward. Change creates opportunity, and I think farmers are really good at seizing opportunities whilst they're there. Scottish agriculture has three main objectives going forward. Sustainable food production at a profit, that is essential, at a profit. We also need to look at enhancing nature and biodiversity and also addressing the huge issues of climate change. The agricultural industry can and will achieve these objectives, provided we make a profit. If agriculture is sustainable and profitable, then farmers and crofters will reinvest in nature and in biodiversity and in climate change initiatives. But we can't go green if we're in the red. Future support for agriculture is essential in the long term if we are to achieve these key objectives. But this support, in my mind, it really should be rebranded. Agricultural support, it's really a rural support. These support payments offer a vibrant agriculture, and this drives the supply chains and the entire rural economy. The entire rural economy, needs a strong agricultural industry, that's for sure. Wind and pages don't go well. So agriculture will continue to feed the nation, embrace nature enhancement and tackle climate change. And it appears so relevant that we're on a farm today discussing LEAF, integrated farm management, and the Resilient and Ready initiative, partnered by Corteva Agriscience and LEAF. This is a significant day, with HB Farms being announced as the most northerly LEAF demo farm in the UK. The North East is a powerhouse within Scottish agriculture, and it's truly fitting that we now have a LEAF demo farm in the heart of the North East. I think we all recognise the amazing ambitions and enthusiasm exuded by Ben and Harriet with their continued expansion, and also realise that the past 10 months must have been extremely challenging as new entrants to the pig sector. Well done to you both, and for being so determined and forward thinking. As regards LEAF, the vision is global farming in a food system that delivers climate positive action, builds resilience and supports the health, diversity and enrichment of our food, farms, the environment and society. And linked to that, I read the mission, which is to inspire, enable more circular approaches to farming and food systems through integrated, regenerative and vibrant nature-based solutions that will deliver productivity and prosperity among farmers, which will enrich the environment and positively engage young people in wider society. I think the vision and the mission highlighted by LEAF is so relevant to the needs and the challenges of UK agriculture and our objectives of providing sustainable food at a profit, looking after nature and biodiversity and addressing climate change. I also note the integrated farm management concept, a key driver of the LEAF Farm initiative, which strives for site-specific sustainable farming, an enriched environment and a desire to engage with local communities. Also very important, and engaging with local communities and our consumer public is very important as well. I'd also like to mention the Resilient and Ready programme run by Corteva Agriscience and LEAF, which, having researched, seems to offer a tremendous 3-year programme of training and mentoring as regards sustainable farming, knowledge, skills and know-how. I'm also delighted that Craig and Claire Grant are here today, another hugely entrepreneurial and forward-thinking farming couple who also embraced on the Resilient and Ready programme. It's really inspiring to see two farming couples based in the North East here who are seizing the opportunities, thinking out the box and are determined to succeed in a modern agricultural industry. Hopefully the initiative shown by Ben and Harriet and Craig and Claire will inspire other businesses to engage with LEAF and the Resilient and Ready programme. In summary, it's an absolute pleasure to be here today. This is a landmark day as regards LEAF in Scotland, and especially within the northeast of Scotland. We've seen and heard of the great initiatives facilitated by LEAF and the ambitions of Ben and Harriet. And therefore it's with immense pleasure that I'm able to officially announce HB Farms, run by Ben Lowe and Harriet Ross, here at Pitmillan Farm, Newbury in Aberdeenshire, are now an official LEAF demonstration farm. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes. It's going to blow over now for a minute.
Shovel it if you like.
You shovel.
Yeah, I can have someone.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Great, so before we all get drenched,
We could go inside, Alice.
That'll do it.
I think it's going to blow over anyway. The silver birch.
thanks to you all for coming and to our sponsors again, Harborough, Frontier and Agravista, and to Corteva, but particularly to Harriet and Ben for hosting us, and just so thrilled to be launching HB Farms as the LEAF demonstration farm. It Sadly for me, launched a little bit the end, or as Nick put it earlier, graduation from the Resilient and Ready programme into Leaf Demonstration Farm. But it's been my absolute pleasure to work with Harriet and Ben. When we started this, we're starting a 3-year tenancy at New Seat of Danbreck, but we'll be here for 3 years for sure, and hopefully that's enough. And then here we are, 2 years on, 10-year tenancy, combine that with 2 other businesses, which to create this circular, diverse, vibrant business that you've seen today. So just the astronomic rise has been phenomenal. So I wonder where you're going to be in another 2 years, whole of Scotland. I put jumping head first here. Ben mentioned jumping 2 feet in a lot today, which has really been the approach that they've taken throughout everything. I'm sure it's not without its challenges, particularly at the moment. But Harriet and Ben are always keen to get stuck in, give it a go, and give it their best shot. Combining their, sometimes their low-key approach, their very calm attitude with a real thirst for knowledge, an open mind, a real focus on sustainability and circular systems with good, bold decision-making makes them an absolutely brilliant addition to the LDF network. Friend said to me that to be a farmer, you basically need to be optimistic and believe you can do most things. And I have to say, Harriet and Ben do that in spades, and not only believe it, but really follow it through. And I'm totally in awe of them, of how they approach their good business, hard work, and where that's got them in 3 years. And it's been a real privilege to be a part of that. So big thank you to you guys. And pleased that they're now part of that network to really share and discuss and learn more throughout as part of that. So really big thank you to them. Thanks again to Corteva, partners in crime on this project, sponsors again, advisors involved such as Andy, all the experts, and really pleased to have gone through this launch today. Thank you very much.